Comfortable. So I'm going to have a chair nearby. We're going to be doing some forward folding and some balance poses today. And I'll show versions using the chair in case anyone has sensitive back issues. Sometimes using the chair is really going to help those out. And our theme today, we're going to be looking at poses that are soothing and grounding, forward folds. And what I mean by that is when our body comes forward. And there are a lot of ways in yoga that we do forward bends. Last week we learned the child's pose, which is a very soothing posture where we're coming forward. Another forward fold that we learned last week is the standing forward fold, where we're coming forward in this way. So there's many different shapes, and we're going to learn some new poses today where we're continuing that trajectory of folding forward. And one of the general effects that those poses have for us is that it's keying down the nervous system and really helping us to get relaxed. We'll be looking at poses in the coming weeks that are actually kind of stimulating and uplifting. So today's poses are soothing the nerves, calming, also grounding. And there's something in yoga that I'll be bringing up, which is the relationship of stability and mobility. So stability has to do with the support and the strength in our muscles and joints. And mobility is flexibility. So I like to frame yoga that we're not just working for flexibility. Sometimes understanding stability can show us ways that our body is actually the reason why we don't have flexibility in certain areas actually has to do with our stability. That if we stabilize our muscles in certain areas, we'll actually get the release or the pain relief that we're looking for. Today we're going to be starting lying on your back. So go ahead and lie down. There will be two different leg positions. If you have a sensitive back, when you lie flat on the ground, have your knees bent with your feet flat on the floor. And if your back is peachy keen, you may like to straighten your legs with heels near the corners of your mat. We'll begin our yoga practice by simply relaxing. Place your hands about at the center of your belly. Tune into the feeling of your breath. With your hands, feel the torso move and expand, opening wide on the inhale. When you exhale, there is a sense of release, like a balloon is deflating. Focus on your breath without creating any strain. When you breathe in, you're opening and lifting your hands with the breath. Breathe out, feel your hands come closer together and maybe closer to the floor. Throughout yoga, please always breathe in a way that is working for you. While we sometimes do breathing exercises, it's really important that your breath doesn't create any stress. So it's always welcome to take a break from a certain way of breathing and just breathe in the way that suits you. Enjoy a few more breaths. We might call these diaphragmatic breaths, meaning that we're breathing with the diaphragm or the muscle below the lungs. We could also call these belly breaths or abdominal breaths as we breathe low and wide, expanding the belly. This way of breathing is one of the tools we have to tone down the nervous system to relieve stress and come into relaxation. Take 2 more breaths right where you are. Bend your right knee and reach out to grab that knee. You can hold behind the thigh or around the knee, whatever is reachable. The left leg could be straight or have it bent for the back support option. We're going to try a little stretch experiment. Start by hugging your right knee in and just see how close you get. Think of bringing the knee down toward the shoulder or maybe slightly wider than the shoulder. Create some strength. Push the front of your knee forward. So you're going to feel some tone in the back of your thigh. Your hands are going to resist. So your hands are pulling your knee down to the floor, but your knee is trying to reach forward and slightly up. As you do that, we're feeling strength build around the hamstrings and around the glutes. Take another moment for that strength. A deep breath in. When you exhale, release that activation and see if your knee releases any further down. Take a moment here. And then release that leg to change sides. So we're going to draw the left knee in, and the right leg is either flat on the floor or planted with the knee bent. Rock your knee a bit as it draws down toward your shoulder and out to the side of the rib cage. So we might call this the mobility part of the pose, where we're simply stretching and increasing our range of motion. And then we'll create the activation in that muscle. So push your knee forward while you resist with your hands. So hands are pulling down, knee is pressing against the hands, or if you're behind your thigh, same thing. You're pushing the knee forward, forward and up. This is activating the muscles that you were just stretching, the hamstrings, the glutes. Another breath here. Exhale, release that activation, and just see what happened to your range of motion. Let the knee melt in. Nice deep breath. Sometimes we call that magic anatomy because just adding the activation can really help us to release, to get the range of motion to increase. Bring your feet flat on the mat and separate them as wide as your mat. Open your arms up like a cactus shape on the ground and do slow windshield wipers with your knees. Side to side. As you do this, let your hips roll with the movement. So your belly will kind of turn, one side of your back will come high off the ground. And just letting your hips roll as your knees move like windshield wipers. Take one more reach on each side. Roll your knees all the way to the side and then come into a little ball. Push with your arms and slowly sit up. All right. So did anyone get some extra release in that pose? Did you get the increased range of motion? It's a really interesting experiment. So we'll see that in a lot of the poses that we do today. One of the poses we learned last week was the cat and cow. So let's come onto our hands and knees. Little tips, the mat could always be doubled in thickness under your wrist or under your knee if you want to have extra padding. Our two movements are the back bend, where we open the chest, lifting the tailbone up, This is the cow pose, and then the cat pose is the reverse, curling the tailbone under, chin toward the chest. And start to move through those movements, gently back and forth. You may like to connect them with your breathing. Inhale is the front body opening, where we drop the belly and open the chest. Exhale is where we draw the abdominals in and lift the back body up. Inhale into the cow pose. Exhale into the cat. Enjoy a couple more breaths flowing with that movement. Take a moment in the child's pose. Sink your hips back toward your heels. The knees could widen, so there's room to breathe as you release forward and down. Last week we used a cushion, so you might have like a bed pillow or a couch cushion nearby. And there are different ways that the pose could be assisted. Like if the knees feel sensitive, try your cushion in the crease behind your knees. I remember someone last week said they felt great having the cushion under the chest for support. Enjoy a couple of breaths to lengthen your back. Feel your spine open. All right, go ahead and have a seat and sit comfortably for you. This might be sitting on a cushion or sitting on a chair. So we've done 2 movements of the spine in cat and cow. We did flexion and extension, this forward and back movement. And I wanted to warm us up in the other dimensions of the spine. So go ahead and take your right hand down. It might touch the floor or your chair. Reach your left arm up. And we're just going to move gently to center and then over to the side. So side bending is another one of our spinal movements. As you come up, drop that hand and try out the other side. Deep breath. And just breathing steadily as you dip into the side bend and come out. In the aspect of stability and mobility, I like to feel how my abs are supporting the pose even as the pose is stretching. Come to center. Let's take that one more on each side. And really see how your abs are like this pulley system that lets you lift up out of the pose. You might feel like your abdominals wrap around the side of your body. So there's some like oblique side ab strength. And we'll take one more reach to the left side. So reach the right arm up and over, finding that balance of stability and mobility. Nice. Come to center and just see what you noticed. Did you feel some core activation? How does your back feel? So now we've done 4 movements for the spine. We did flexion coming forward, we did extension coming back, and then we did lateral flexion or side stretching. And then the final movement we're going to do is twisting. So take your left hand over to your right knee. Your right hand is behind your back on fingertips as you twist to the side. As we take the twist, try to stay vertical in the sense that your spine is like a flagpole, it's straight up and down, instead of leaning forward into the twist. Your neck is right above your hips. Slowly come out, and other side. So we're reaching with the right arm, left hand is right behind the back of your pelvis. Find that vertical alignment in your spine. That's one nice thing for doing yoga with a screen. Sometimes you can look and see what your posture looks like. All right, let's release that. And we're going to do one more approach to the twist, which is using our core muscles to support the twist. So for this, we're going to raise our arms into the cactus and really think of that vertical line. We're staying tall in the spine and then rotate to your right. So just see how far your abs can help you twist. Stay wide in your shoulders. Reach the elbows out from each other. Remember to breathe, even as you're using your core. Take another inhale in the pose. Exhale, come to center. Drop your arms. It might feel nice to roll the shoulders or shake out the hands. Second side, cactus arms. Start by getting really long. Find that central axis of your spine, and then start to rotate. See that you're grounded through both of your sitting bones, as opposed to leaning over to your left side. See how the abs that wrap around the lower ribs are kind of hugging you to help you twist more. One more breath in. Exhale, release, and come to center. Take a moment to see how your back feels, see how your core feels. Next, we're going to come up to standing. Last week, we looked at the standing mountain pose, where we were placing our feet just about parallel to each other. Whether the feet are going to be zippered up, some of us like to balance in the mountain pose like that. We could also have the feet about the width of our pelvis, or some people prefer a broader base. See and remember what feels right for you. Give all those a try. There's another movement of the spine, which is sometimes very subtle, but it's just called axial extension, where you imagine there's a little string from the crown of your head and your spine just gets longer in itself. You're just reaching through the very top of your head. And when we reach like that, instead of reaching up through your chin will actually nod downward, and you're reaching up through your spine, through the very top of your neck where it meets the base of the skull. Feel yourself get longer through the back of the neck, and also longer through the tailbone as your tailbone points downward slightly. Press strongly through your heels and find this axial extension in your spine. There are some special health benefits, specifically for the spine in yoga, that because our spine houses the central nervous system, the spinal cord, there are benefits that we often experience simply by aligning our spine. And I had just a personal story. I talked to a good friend recently. We grew up and we did high school together, and in her family, there was a form of muscular dystrophy, and she's my age, so late 30s. And she said, she's like, a year ago, I had to use a cane and I had a brace for my hand and I had a hard time working. And she said that from yoga, that it became her form of rehab, that she actually was able to release her spine, and then she doesn't have this health problem anymore. And it's not to say yoga is a cure-all, but I just found that really inspiring, that it really changed her life. So we're going to try an experiment with our feet. So go ahead and turn your toes out, kind of like ballerina feet. And we're going to be coming into our forward fold. If you want to have hands on the chair, you may, or reaching hands to floor. So get started by reaching up and then come forward, forward fold, and just see how far your body wants to go with your toes pointed out. See how the pose feels. Tune into your knees. How do your knees like it? And then slowly stand up. Turn your toes forward into that parallel foot position. And now we're going to do the same pose again. So arms sweep up, deep breath in if you like, and exhale, forward fold. And just tune in. What many of us find is that the foot placement affects our ability to fold forward. It affects our flexibility in the hips. Go ahead and stand up. And then a third experiment is to widen the heels. So a slight pigeon toe. The toes are just slightly narrower than the heels. And we'll just see if that helps your pose. Deep breath in, breathe out, and fold forward. So just see what's here in your pose. Lengthen out your back. Get a little gravity to help you release through your torso. Put a little bend in your knees and push through the feet to stand up. All right, shake out your legs. How was that for everyone? Did you have any differences in the foot positions? Yeah, because there's these little adjustments and we can find like, oh wow, I actually had a lot more range of motion. And why the foot placement is affecting our stretches is that it's doing different things for the deeper hip muscles. So just little indications, little changes in the feet can assist our poses. Any questions or anything you want to share? All right. From our mountain pose, we're going to remember Warrior One and then learn a pose that's related to Warrior One. So we have hands to hips, and Warrior One is a long step back and we're oriented forward. The back foot is planted flat as opposed to the heel being off the ground. We have the heel planted down, and then we bend into the front knee, arms reach up, Warrior One. Remember, if the front knee can bend a lot further than the heel, just walk that foot forward to get a longer stance. Arms reach up high as you breathe. Keep pushing through the back leg. Try to make it straight. The back footprint could be adjusted so that that knee is very comfortable. Nice job. Let's straighten the front leg and release arms. The next pose we're going to is called the pyramid. So for this, we're oriented forward like Warrior One. So the hips are, sometimes I think of it like handlebars on a bike. My hips are going to be oriented forward. And I'll show you a couple shapes for the pyramid. So the pyramid is a forward fold. The front leg is 98% straight. And this is one place where many of us may like to use the chair. So a couple options in the pose. One reason to use the chair is to keep that length in your spine. Like if you have herniated disc issue in your back from the past, you may like to just stay long. Another shape that some people take is with the arms behind the back and letting the spine curl forward in that spinal flexion. So we'll take a moment to play with those variations, see if there's one that suits you better. Arms behind the back as we lengthen forward. Push into your footprints as you come up, and we'll release simply by stepping the feet together. If you like to shake them out and just see the deep stretching that has happened in your legs and hips. Second side, hands on hips, left leg steps back. We are oriented forward. One adjustment that's always available is to walk the feet further apart or closer together for low back comfort. Bend into your front knee and reach up, warrior one. A very strengthening pose as we bend into the front knee and stay strong through the back foot. The feet are rooting down. This pose creates a gentle back bend, so there is this arching up and maybe just a little bit back in your spine. I'm going to take another breath in. Exhale, release your arms and straighten out your front leg. If you want to do any stepping out and back into the pose, remember that's always here for you. So when we're doing our pyramid, sometimes it's nice to start with hands on hips and just work on that forward folding movement. So we have our spine long. You may like to reach out using the chair. Experiment with folding your spine in if that feels comfortable and safe. The arm version where we have the arms behind the back, I find that is comfortable for some people. For some of us, it actually tightens our shoulders more than it stretches them. So you might interlace your hands or just reach back as we lengthen our spine forward. Come up by rooting the feet down. Stand tall and then just step your feet together. Shake them out a bit. See how you feel. Nice deep breath. Any observations or questions with those poses? Pyramid is a wonderfully strong stretch. For a lot of us, our hamstrings are tighter, which is natural. So pyramid is a deep hamstring opener. All right, so we're going to revisit warrior two. And for this pose, we're oriented to the wide edge of the mat. Step your feet out, about one leg's distance apart. And then let's just turn our right toes out to the side. The left heel can reach back just a little bit so that there's a slight inward angle on that back foot. With hands on hips, warm into the pose by bending and straightening the knee. Warrior two has a hip opening aspect that we might start to feel already as we're stretching the inner thighs. For warrior two, settle the knee over the ankle. You may need to widen the stance. Arms reach out into the letter T. So warrior two, arms in the T. Shoulders settle down the back. Find the axial extension in your spine. Reach up through the back of your neck and reach down through your tailbone so your low back gets longer. Nice job. Lower arms and straighten out the front leg. Walk the back foot in just a couple inches. We still have that parallel position, so outer edge of the back foot parallel to the short edge of the mat. We're going to experiment with the triangle pose. And this is another pose where you might want to have your chair reachable. Start with hands on hips. Like the pyramid, we're going to be moving over the front leg, but this time it's like we're keeping our belly pointed forward and we're keeping our hips open. So just come in and out of that shape. Another great way to feel the stability, the strength that it takes to come out and lift yourself up. So the full triangle pose, and you're always welcome just to watch and then take your own pose. So we can have a hand on a chair, we can have a hand on the lower leg, and then the top arm is going to reach up. So for a lot of us, we feel some deep leg stretches, outer hip, inner thigh. Take care of your front knee by micro bending it, just a tiny bend to strengthen the muscles around your leg. Let's bend that front knee a lot. Push off the foot to stand up. Reversing your pose, left hand to the thigh, reach the arm up. Nice, and then just one more visit to the triangle. Tip to the side. And now find that extension in your spine. Get really long. Ground strongly through both feet to help make your spine longer. Triangle pose. It's a fan favorite. Nice. Bend the front knee, push down through that heel and stand up. All right, let's walk our legs in. If you want to shake it out a little bit. Any questions before side 2? Comments? Is it a fan favorite for you? Do you love the triangle? All right, second side. Warrior 2. I'm going to move my chair for a demonstration. And we are setting up the angles of the feet. Left foot is parallel to the long edges of the mat, right foot parallel to the short edge of the mat. And as you bend and straighten your left knee, watch for healthy knee tracking. When you look down, you can see your big toe the whole time. The knee is bending down the midline of the foot. Settle into that knee bend. Adjust the length of the stance if needed. Arms reach out. Tune into your breath and be fully in your pose. Strong through the feet. Spine is lengthening in both directions. Up through the neck, down through the tailbone. When you exhale, lower your arms, straighten the front leg, and we'll play with that movement for the triangle. Hands on the hips, walk your back foot in. I find if the stance is a little bit narrower than Warrior 2, it helps me get more stretch. So think of really moving at your hip joints more than you move at your waist. So what does that mean? So your hip joints are where your thigh bones meet your pelvis, and your waist is your low back, which is slightly above your pelvis. So see if you can make that movement really happen from below your belly button. Nice. And then we're going to shape the triangle. So bottom hand could be on a chair or your leg, and then top hand is going to lift up. So think of making space as you breathe. Arms reach away from each other. The feet are pressing down. Feel a connection from your back footprint, helping you to lengthen out your low back, stretching your whole spine. Good job. Bend your front knee, push off that foot to stand up. If you need to shake out your legs, and then we're just going to do one more triangle. Trikonasana is the Sanskrit name of that pose. So another little check we do is just kind of seeing if the sides of the torso are long, as opposed to curling on the bottom side or shortening the spine on that side. So think of staying really tall and long through your torso as you tip your hips to the side. Deep breaths, long spine. One more breath in. Exhale, bend the front knee, push off that foot. Come on up. Let's give our legs a little break. We can walk them together. Sometimes I like to do a little jig and cross the midline. Since we've been so wide and open in the legs, it feels good to roll them in for a counter stretch. All right. So the next pose I wanted to show us is the straddle forward fold. So we come into this like the last poses, from this wide stance. We have our feet parallel. And with our little experiment, you may like to shift your feet to be slightly more pigeon-toed if that helped your forward fold earlier. Or if not, do what helped your pose. This is another pose where we might like to be folding forward with hands on the chair. So begin to come forward. You could touch the front of your legs, touch a prop like a chair, or touch the floor. I'll show a side view of my spine. So we're thinking of making our back really long and have the movement come from your hips. As we work in the pose, your inhale is a chance to get longer in the spine, making space with your breath. Exhale is a deepening. You might feel that there's room to come forward and down in your pose. So just give yourself a little time to work that pose. See how the breath helps it to change. Add a little strength rooting down through your feet. See how that can help you activate the thigh muscles, the calf muscles, and muscles around your pelvis. Notice if that activation helps your pose to deepen. This is the connection of stability and mobility. Engaging our body for a deeper release. Preparing to stand up, push down through your feet, tone your low abs, and rise up. Nice. Walk your feet together. Any questions for the forward folds?
So, Paula, are we using our abdomen muscles more than our back?
In what part of the pose? Say a little more about that.
Okay, when you're all the way, like when your torso is parallel to the floor.
Yeah.
Are we using those abdomen muscles to brace ourselves?
Yeah, there's this core support, and it's cool. Is that what you felt? Like your
Yes.
abs were? Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. And that's something that comes up in doing yoga in this way, because we're addressing areas that might be weaker. Like most of us tend to be a little weaker in the abs. And most of us tend to have kind of strain in our back somewhere. So that's actually like two sides of a coin, you know? So there are cool approaches where, and you might notice, like we're going to do some core in just a moment. See how your back feels afterward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. Any other questions coming up? Cool. I feel like we're all in it. This is great. So feel free if you want to drink of water, and then we're going to be coming down to the floor. All right, it's time for some yoga plank pose. There are a few different options when we take a plank. At the center of plank is going to be the spine being long. I'll show, we did cow pose earlier. You want to watch for this kind of thing happening in plank, because in plank your back is loaded, and this can actually wear on your back or strain your back if you do it too much. So first, from plank, we're going to start in table, and then just walk our knees back into a knee plank. Hands are directly below the shoulders. You're pushing into the hands, and then find that length in your spine. Curl your tailbone under just slightly to tone your lower abs, and open your chest forward as you lengthen your neck. Nice. So a lot of us feel some strength building here. All right, and then we're gonna just push ourselves into table. If your wrists need a break, just give them a little roll. Another shape we're gonna try for the plank is elbow, forearm plank. So bring your elbows to the ground and hook your fingers around the outer elbows, and that's a little measurement that your elbows are shoulder width apart. Bring your hands forward, weave them together, and just start to walk your knees back. So we're lowering our hips to be in line with our spine. Keep pushing into your elbows. Hug your legs together a bit to help support the weight of your body. And if you want to add some strength, if you have no low back issues, tuck your toes and use your core a lot as you lift your knees. So it's a challenge. We're pushing with our arms, appreciating the strength and our ability to do this. Give yourself another breath in the forearm plank. Great, knees to the mat, and just rest. This could be coming onto hands for table, or you might like just to do a little child's pose, sitting back. I'll give us one more visit to the plank. Option for plank on the hands if you wish. And I'm going to give us a 10-second plank for a challenge. So go ahead and choose your pose, whether you're up on your hands, your knees, elbows. And we'll just start breathing and being in the present moment with this 10-second plank. Squeeze your arms toward each other just a bit. Hug your upper abs under your ribs to help suspend your body. Let your breath be as deep as it can be in a challenging pose. 3 more breaths right where you are. Nice job. Let's bring our knees down, take a rest, whether that's just sitting or child's pose. Sit comfortably and just see what effect plank pose had for you. The abdominal poses are generally very warming, building our core strength. See how your back feels. All right, let's go ahead and stand up again. Any questions or comments from the plank? And it's not just you. Most people have a hard time in plank. I joke that a lot of people get pissy in plank because we're challenged. All right, we're gonna do some balance poses. And sometimes using a wall, I'll have the back of the chair nearby for the tree. These are supports that are available. Get started in your mountain pose, grounded through your feet, and see the difference the core activation has made. Shift your weight into your right foot and just start to warm up your balance by drawing a circle above the floor with your left foot. Remember, we have props if there's a wall nearby or some furniture to help you balance. And then switch sides. Really pay attention to your foot staying forward with the toes, and then start to shift your weight. Hover the foot, trace a circle. Another deep breath. Great. Step down. Shift into your first foot again. For a lot of us, it's our right foot. And lift up your left leg. For the tree, we're opening the knee out to the side, and the foot could be placed above or below the knee. You might like to try a few things out and see what feels good for you. Arm options, hands on hips is very grounding, helping to connect you to your center of gravity. We could also do hands by the heart or arms in the sky, like the branches of the tree, for a little more challenge. Wobbles are a natural part of balance. And we build core stability as our body mitigates these little wobbles. Another deep breath. With your exhale, release. Step feet down. If you like to shake it out a bit, go right ahead. See what you feel on either side of your hips. Get tall in your spine. And find your balance on the other side. Shift into your left footprint. I'll also show a kickstand option where the ball of the foot is on the floor, and then we're just lifting the heel so we can start that knee opening. So the foot is planted above or below the knee, your choice. You might try both or see what's possible. Remember, you have balance support nearby. And it's all good to reposition. Come out, give it another try. Try hands on hips, hands to heart, or arms in the sky. I experience some little wobbles in that standing foot. So the ankle is strengthening, the arch of the foot, which is the core muscle of the foot, is strengthening. One more deep breath to reach up. Exhale, come on down. Shake out your legs a bit. All right, any questions for the tree? Another fan favorite. We all love the tree. A lot of us love the tree.
I guess we just need to keep practicing to get that balance. Is that right?
Yeah, and balance, it's never gonna be like zero wobbles, because I wobble a lot and I feel that I have good balance from the yoga I've done. And so what I think is really beneficial, like as we build balance, I'm a fan of just like taking a small version of the pose and like having the wobbles happen versus like being up here and like you sort of don't use any muscles because you're only propping yourself up, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and then you can just kind of do it in your day. You're like, oh, I'm washing the dishes. Maybe I'll do that circle thing we did in yoga. Finding
Okay.
little opportunities to grow the balance.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like after you do a balance pose, you feel really connected to your core because the muscles that are stabilizing us are core muscles. So really throughout our body, like in our hip joints, we have core muscles that are deep in that joint that are helping to support us with gravity. So that's why you feel like, oh wow, there's a lot of deep things that have activated in these poses.
Can we bend our knee ever so slightly to kind of help?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So in a balance pose, you can bend the knee that you're balancing on. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yes. Because often, like if you just try that, if you balance on one leg and just bend that knee that you're standing on, sometimes there's like additional power and strength that you have from that. So yeah, a little bend in the knee will help with balance.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and come down to the ground. Have your cushion or your pillow nearby. Let's go ahead and lie down on our backs. Start with your knees bent and reach your right leg up into the sky. We're just going to do a little hamstring stretching. Bring your hands around the back of that leg. Reach up through your heel. If you like to do a little resist stretching, you may push your leg forward against your arms and then release and draw the leg toward you any amount. Keep reaching up through your heel. Your foot is activating. And then bend that knee, cross your right ankle on the left knee. This is a pigeon type of stretch. It's a figure 4 stretch. One option is to simply push your right knee away. And then a second option, if you'd like additional stretch, is to hold behind your left knee and draw that in while your right knee is pushing away from you. Take a few deep breaths through the back of your hips. Let your neck muscles relax as you stretch. One more breath in the pose. Plant your left foot down, bring your right foot next to it, and we'll just do a brief shavasana or brief relaxation pose. Straighten your legs on the ground and just relax for a moment. Breathe all the way down to your belly. One foot at a time, bring feet flat to the floor. Stretch your left leg straight up or as straight as it goes. It's okay if there's a bend in your knee. Hands around the back of that leg. Reach up through your heel. Try to open your toes wide from each other or as wide as they may like to go today. Try that resist and stretch. Push your leg forward into your hands until you feel your hamstrings activate. The back of your thigh activates. And then just try to release that as you let the leg come forward toward you any amount. Keep reaching through your heel. Toes are pulling down toward the face gently. Another deep breath in the pose. Bend the left knee, cross the ankle on the thigh for the figure 4. So first phase, left knee is reaching away from you, kind of out away from the shoulder, maybe slightly down. You may like to add to the stretch by drawing right knee in, hands around the back of that leg. The right knee is moving toward your chest while the left knee reaches slightly away. Let yourself relax in the pose. Melt any tightness out of your neck and chest. A couple of deeper breaths here. Release. Bring your feet to the mat. Take a moment to stretch out. Arms overhead. Reach with your legs. And we'll be coming into our final relaxation pose. Your pillow, there's a few ways you can use it. The low back support is to put a pillow under the back of your knees. So that helps to release your low back. You might also like to use your pillow under your head I'll show a fun yoga prop, which we can put a pillow on the belly, which is grounding. It's like holding us to the ground. Find the support that will help you to relax. Let your arms and legs widen just a bit so your body can take up space, stretch out, and relax. Allow your eyes to soften. Jaw muscle is relaxed. Release deep in your throat. It might feel nice to swallow. Relax the lungs. Relax your abdomen. Relax down the legs and down the arms. We'll take a couple minutes to rest quietly. Feel the earth beneath you and that your body is very safe, supported by the earth. Let yourself totally melt like butter on a warm biscuit. Begin to deepen your breath gently. Stretch out fingers and toes. Rock your head gently side to side. Bring feet flat to the floor, one at a time, and roll to your side with bent knees. And keep all of this relaxation as you rise up and sit comfortably. Pause briefly to appreciate the effect of your yoga today. Thank yourself for coming. Appreciate all of the other yogis who came today and how we all contribute to this wonderful class. Thank you for coming today. Namaste.